The recording has started.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you all. Welcome to the slightly delayed January 26th Water Sewer Commission meeting. I'd like to start with the superintendent update, please.
All right. Thank you, Luke. Hello, everybody. Actually got a pretty short list tonight. Should work out pretty well. You may remember a few months back we had a situation with unauthorized use of water for purposes of a sprinkler flow test. With the clarification of the rules and regulations, we ended up sending out some just reminder letters to all businesses in town that have sprinkler systems, and we actually also sent them to some sprinkler companies that we've dealt with in the past that are either in town or out of town but still perform work here in town with us. Those notices actually generated quite a few calls, many thank yous actually from the residents that received them, who will be passing them along to their fire sprinkler outfit, and spoke with a few companies that we have dealt with, many that we haven't dealt with, and there seems to be some confusion in the past that some of the work that was performed when they test the basic fire system that they have with they call them poles and smokes, in order to test some of those devices, even though the alarms would be taken offline and wouldn't be generating a call to the fire department, they would actually flow the 2-inch bypass line to make sure that the tampers and everything worked. That, without any actual proof, we believe had a lot to do with some of the nuisance calls that we'd gotten in the previous years with no actual known cause. We'd be out there, spend quite a few hours out cleaning up these areas, and really could never determine what the actual cause was. But after speaking with a few of these companies, that seemed to be normal practice for them, as it is in a few other towns. They don't have any issues with that because it's not a major flow. With the improved quality here in the town, we haven't noticed any problems that have been out of the ordinary that we could not track. So we've kind of taken care of things on both ends, one with the treatment facility, two with this notification letter as a courtesy that's going out, and we'll just have a better coordinated effort with the companies that we deal with in the buildings in town that have the fire suppression systems moving forward. Even if it doesn't require a public post, we still want to be notified and aware of what's going on, so that if we have anything we're doing on our side, whether it be system maintenance, maybe we have a well down for cleaning or a tank offline, it's going to show different numbers on whatever tests that they're performing, and we want to be able to give them a reason why if they question it, and obviously we want to know if there's some work going on while we have a deficiency on our system. So the letters and notifications that went out actually worked out pretty well. We'll jump over to this past Saturday. Technician that was on call responded to an apparent leak, ice forming on the side of the roadway along 123. It was determined there was a drain nearby. Water was coming up out of a crack along the gutter. There was no immediate threat to the public, to the traffic, or to the home nearby. So we did let that leak until yesterday morning. We were able to get a full crew out there with the police detail to control traffic. Once we cut into the road and removed the section of asphalt, the leak actually was large enough that it became troublesome. We couldn't maintain it safely, so we actually had to perform an emergency shutdown on that section of old pipe there to repair the leak. Ended up being a copper pipe of all things. We assumed it would have been an iron pipe, and there was a repair that was done on the copper, obviously many years ago. It was a flared repair coupling that had failed. So we replaced a small section of that pipe. We had the water back on. The repair was made within an hour and a half, which is pretty good, especially with the weather that we had. Temperature-wise, a little bit of ice on the road, so we did a little ice skating out there for a while. Notifications were made. I know there was at least one person that called that complained they were unaware of the situation. We do our best to post whenever we have an emergency. Obviously, this being a daytime emergency, we were able to get it out to the town's technology coordinator and request that it made it to the town website, and I believe it was also posted on the Norton Neighbors page, but I do not have confirmation on that. Once the repair was done, we did give a notification that everything was back, and thankfully, again, knock on wood, there was no flushing required in the area. The water was clean. The pipe that was repaired is a temporary repair, and it's actually going to be one of the services that will be replaced when the Mass DOT project starts up again, possibly in a couple weeks. That service will actually be renewed and transferred over to the 16-inch main on the opposite side of the road. We'll keep jumping along. I attended the Capital Committee meeting last night. Just discussed a few items that I have on a small capital improvement list for the upcoming fiscal year. Items like the remaining Phase 5 for the well 5 and 6 replacement project. Explained to them that amount of money will need to be borrowed. I explained to them that we're also looking to replace the old water main on White Street, which is up off of East Main, and this will remove a small section of older pipe there. That's an area that we have a bottleneck. It's actually between 3 larger pipes. There's 2 12-inch pipes on either side, and actually a 10-inch oversized pipe going down Newland. So this will improve water flow. It's not going to be a major infrastructure improvement, which is the actual reason why I chose the project. With everything else going on in town, we didn't want to sell ourselves short and not have the personnel to handle the improvements. Obviously, we all know we have the sewer project that's still ongoing, which will be finishing up in the spring and fall. The Mass DOT project will most likely be ramping up. There's a possibility we'll see multiple crew operations out there once the weather breaks, and this was a small project that we felt we could squeeze in, and this is actually going to be covered with retained earnings that were left over from a previous water main replacement, so there won't be any borrowing that will be necessary for that. We also spoke of the sewer upgrades, Phase 2 for the Cobb Street sewer station. Even though we are not completed with Phase 1, I want to make sure Phase 2 is in the works and that we have approval to continue with the upgrades necessary at that station. And then lastly was the installation of a generator at the Norwood pump station. And we're still waiting on a third turnkey estimate. Generator companies are straight out. If you're not looking to install right away, you're definitely put on the back burner. We have 2 estimates in right now. They're rolling in a lot lower than I had expected. We put in the line item at $100,000 to make sure we were covered. So far right now, I have 1 estimate in at, I believe it's $56,000 and change, and the other one's right around $54,000. So it seems to be the target number will be somewhere around there. That will be awarded once the procurement officer looks at those items, make sure that they're all worded correctly, and that will be the actual price put in for that. Both Phase 2 of the Cobb Street and the generator would be coming from retained earnings coming from the Sewer Enterprise Fund. But one more thing here, the elevated tank. We've been getting a few calls from the cellular companies that lease locations on tanks, and one of them is actually looking to replace a few of the existing antennas that they have in 2 of their base units. I believe they're looking to move and upgrade possibly into the 5 or 6G range, and we have to sign permission to allow them to work on town property. One question that's come up, I've looked through quite a few of the documents that I have here in the office, and I've actually reached out to the town manager to see if he happened to remember things in the past. On some very old documents that I found, it appears there was a bond that was required to be in place. This was when the contractors were here installing the first set of antennas. I believe it was probably at the beginning of each of their leases. Once everything was installed, the antennas, the base unit, those bonds were released, and it doesn't appear there's been anything done, major replacement work or major upgrade work in quite a while. There's a few antennas that have been added, a few antennas that have been replaced due to damage. But do either of you board members happen to remember if a bond was ever required, or did we just ask for copies of the certificate of insurance from the contractors performing the work?
This is Luke. I honestly can't remember. In a more trusting world, I think the certificates of insurance would really be a major concern. But now that I stumble around in my words here, boy, if something went wrong with the aerial lift or you know, whatever their electrical work, if they could sure do more damage than their certificate of liability insurance would cover. So maybe a bond is in order. I don't know if we're being a little too over the top, but I think we're basically inviting them to work on our property, which the water tower is a substantial investment. What was the number? Was there a number, Frank, on that bond? Was it
I didn't have. I didn't come across an actual number on anything. It was there were some bond certificates. It was all the way back from 2010, is what I had found. It was back when Dwayne Knapp was here. Done some more digging. I got to find a couple more files for this specific carrier. I don't want to look at a different lease. I want to look at this one carrier that's been there for quite some time and see if it was specific for them. And then I want to compare it to some of the older documents. I know the town manager was also going to look at what he has for a copy of their lease and see if there was anything in there about that. It just sounds like with the upgrades that are coming, that there could be a little bit more work than what we would typically see under a normal circumstance. With an antenna here and there. You may have somebody climbing the tower. You may have, a man lift there. But it sounds like now, with what's there, we could be looking at multiple boom lifts. This is all a guesstimation on my part, but knowing the size of the antennas, the weight of the antennas, we've had some damage that's been done to the grounds from some of the other smaller units that are there. Thankfully, they've come back and repaired it. But again, just like you're saying, if there was ever an incident that something lost its footing and leaned into the tank, there's just a little bit more going on.
Right. Those man lifts are little chunks of lead, and they're very, very well counterweighted, so they put a very heavy footprint. And if they interrupted some kind of valve we have or pipe we have and washed out under the thing, it would be horrible. So I guess at the very least, let's go ahead with any contractor working on our facility, which for a third party, whatever. At least we need the blanket $2 million general liability policy and a specific bond. Maybe the town. Maybe we ask that the subcontractors have the town additionally listed on their $2 million liability policy, so that if that is suspended, revoked, or changed, the town is specifically notified with all the appropriate emails, phone numbers, and such. So that's probably our baseline. And if I don't want to put it to general counsel because I think we wouldn't get an answer in time for when these folks want to work. So I want them to go ahead and proceed. And as I think, if the folks that Norton Media had their act together, we could politely hand these folks another antenna and let them hang our antenna. How about that?
Yeah, I think he was remaining in the dark for the recording.
Dark is cool. I just think I know it would be an ask, but they are messing with our property and whatnot, and if it all kind of lined up and the folks from Norton Media couldn't be ready in time, even if it were just for a nominal fee or whatever, I think they could kill a few birds with one stone.
All right, I'll make that notation, and we'll let them know. And if I hear something back from the town manager, I'll keep you up to date on that.
That would be great. Again, I don't want to create a whole flurry of paperwork and insurance policies, but you don't want somebody being the fly-by-night operation, renting one man lift and not having it covered. A lot of these folks are definitely well funded, and they're probably all right. We just need their information and the backup policies go with that.
All right, very good. I'll make that notation and get that off to them tomorrow as first thing. The last thing I have on here, I'm sure you're aware of it. The ZBA has requested the board's attendance at one of their meetings, which actually happens to be tomorrow. didn't know if you guys had a chance to look at any of those requests that were sent over to join that, or if you're even available for it.
I'm available.
I can do it. Steve, are you interested?
Not interested, but I am available and I will go.
Is it remote or physical?
No, everything is still remote.
All right. I'll search, but if somebody could resend me the email, I'll try to wrestle my way into that one in a more punctual manner than this evening. Do we have a specific time, or they were just looking for us to respond?
I believe they're looking for a response. I would have to imagine that the agenda has already been posted, so they probably have it under just a general discussion. I will get that information and send that over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Frank. And yeah, I can do it.
All right, very good. That is all I have. It's been a very relatively quiet 2 weeks.
Quiet is good in the wintertime.
It is good.
But I see rules and regs. Did you cover that already, Frank? Or do you want to be more specific with the rules and reg update?
I believe we left that on there. There was a document that was handed off to you and was also delivered to Steve for the signature. That was to approve the items that we actually approved at the last meeting. We wanted to have a signature page to go along with it, and we weren't able to with the remote meeting. So I believe you and Steve both signed off on that document. That is why that was left on the agenda.
Perfect, thank you. If you have nothing else, Frank, I'll move over to Weston and Sampson. So you're pretty much good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Steve Peterson from Weston and Sampson. Are you out there?
I am here.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great. So update on our end. Actually, I'll start dovetailing on a couple of things that Frank mentioned. So Frank, you had mentioned Cobb Street and going forward with getting money aside for phase 2. I spoke with you earlier today, and I actually just delivered an email. So on the first phase of the Cobb Street improvements, I sent you the 75% plans and engineer's opinion of probable costs for the basically replacing the generator and doing some of the other associated electrical work and other little miscellaneous repairs, but with the big thing being the generator. So this is an update on that, and we can talk about maybe setting up a call to go over the status of that. On the second item, so you guys were just talking about the ZBA in the meeting tomorrow night, and I believe that's, as far as your involvement, it's in relation to the 195 Mansfield Ave. So both Tara and I have been working on...
Victoria Brown is joining the meeting.
Both Tara and I have been working on our review comments, and we've basically wrapped them up. So we'll be issuing a memo, one for water and one for sewer, tomorrow morning, Frank, to you, so that you can forward that along, and they'll have it for the meeting tomorrow night. Nothing major, as I discussed, this project is really just a connection to your existing infrastructure, water and sewer. More recently, you've had some bigger reviews that had to be done, projects that were actually extending or making significant improvements or modifications to your infrastructure. So this one is just a check to make sure that the tie-ins that they're making are going to be acceptable. So, and then also, Luke, I had forwarded you an email just to bring you up to speed on a short back and forth email between Frank and me and the ZBA as far as the review. So you might want to just take a look at that before tomorrow night's meeting.
Sounds good, thanks, Steve. They were, I don't know whether they were mistakenly or just an initial envelope math. Somebody said something about a 2-inch water main serving that 100-odd unit complex, and I'm sure that isn't enough for the domestic. But I'll look at the email. If you guys must have addressed the sizing of the water and sewer.
Yes. Yes, and so we haven't sent that to you yet. Those two memos will come, either later tonight or in the morning. I'm not going to send an email after this, but we'll send it in the morning, and it'll have the review comments. And Tara and Frank were talking about that before this meeting, and I believe that's addressed in Tara's comments on the water.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
as long as I have it before that meeting.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things, I guess, for discussion is, payment of the peer review itself. Our intent right now, we've done the review. It wasn't a lot of hours on our end. We'll bill out through you guys for our services, and then we'll just have to work out how the payment, through the developer is going to happen. And that might be something you want to discuss with the ZBA tomorrow night, Luke, is if they have an account set up for peer reviews or how it's going to work. But we'll work it all out.
Sounds good. I'll remember to ask the ZBA that.
Okay. So that's all I have on those two. And then obviously on the sewer side, our big project, the West Main Street sewer, nothing has really happened since the last meeting. Nothing's going to happen for a while. Construction is done. We just have to come back out there in the spring. So the one thing I have for the board tonight is, we talked about it at the last meeting, Rockio has submitted a pay rec this month, basically for the remainder of the work at the pump station. There was still a little bit of money left to be paid on the pump station, which we've now accepted the station with our acknowledgement of substantial completion. And the other part of the pay rec that we have, pay rec number 15, is a reduction in retainage, as we discussed. So with the acknowledgement of the substantial completion, they're within their rights and have asked for a reduction down to 1%, which will leave about $45,000 in retainage, which is more than the value of the remaining punch list items that they need to take care of. So we should be good there. The amount of pay rec number 15 is about $212,000, and and we are recommending payment. So I emailed that to Frank, so you have that. So you guys should probably, we can have discussion on that, and then if you're comfortable, you should probably take a vote on that, and then just make arrangements to sign it.
Sounds good. I have no questions or comments on that. I believe the system is functioning. They're taking flow from the school, so it's performing as it should. Are you okay signing that or making that motion, Steve?
Yes. Motion to approve the pay rec for the pay rec we just talked about, for Rockio.
Sounds good. I think it's 15. I'll
Yep,
second
number
it.
15.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will rally and sign that as we have a minute to get over there.
Thank you.
Okay. And really with, again, with no actual construction ongoing, I think that's all I had to report on that, unless you have any questions on any of the stuff that I talked about.
No, I think it's more on the quiet side. That's good.
Like quiet. Definitely like quiet.
I will pass the torch to Tara.
Sounds good. Tara McManus from Western Sampson. How are you tonight, Tara?
I'm doing good, everyone. Thank you. All right, so I'll start off first with the 195 Mansfield Ave developer review. We will be including in here a rough estimate based on some assumptions for the fixture count in the building for each unit, and we are indicating that roughly it does look like a 4-inch pipe would be more adequate for this setup versus the 2-inch line that they're proposing. So that'll be written up in our memo as well for the water side of the review. And if you have any questions, feel free to just reach out before the meeting tomorrow. Call myself. General, comments are just more on the layout and making sure certain notes were also included here and there throughout the plan. But as far as the fire service goes, we didn't really comment too much on that, except that the development should provide either certifications or stamped calculations noting what their fire protection engineer is indicating is required for that size of the building. We're just looking at it more of a plan utility layout scenario, but they should be certifying exactly what will be required for that. So that's included in the memo as well. And then I was going to run over.
Tara, excuse me for 1 second. Hey, Frank, do you guys have any coordination with the fire department as far as hydrant locations, or for flushing that line? And what kind of input do you have? I know the fire department probably has preferences. These buildings are probably big enough to be sprinklered. Is that correct?
Correct. I spoke with the fire department over a year ago when this building first come to us for its design. We wanted to verify with them if they were going to require a hydrant to be installed on the rear of the building. They listed as a letter, whether it's A, B, or C, I'm not really sure. After looking at the location, looking at the parking lot, they did not want to get their apparatus into a position where they couldn't get it safely out of the scene, so they did not require a hydrant behind the building. The one out front is actually almost directly in front of this building that we're speaking of. It will need to be relocated somewhere between 10 and 20 feet from its present location, so that there is a second means of egress that will be allowed for an emergency vehicle to get in through a mulch bed if the intended driveway access happens to be blocked. We had spoken to them about that. They were more than happy with the location. If we can relocate that hydrant, they would actually use that with, I believe they call it a Siamese connection, where they could actually run from our hydrant to a building connection on the outside, and they could power the system by that if necessary, and have additional lines inside fed from our system. So we did have coordination with them again over a year ago, and they were fine with the relocation of the existing hydrant out front. And they are the ones that work with the fire suppression companies for the final determination for the sprinkler size that would be inside the dwelling.
Sounds good. I like the luck of the draw having a hydrant right out front, and yeah, I suppose it could just do the with that connection, Siamese connection thing, and good, great, okay. I just want to make sure there's not a lot of, I don't see a lot of back and forth with the fire department, and I don't want something after things have already got legs and are running down the construction thing. I'd rather catch it now.
Definitely.
Very good. Please continue, Sarah. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. So as Steve mentioned, we'll get that out to everyone for their review first thing in the morning. I was going to switch over to the treatment plant. We have a meeting scheduled for Thursday morning with contractor Weston and Sampson and Frank and the operators to review the punch list, go through some of the items that have been completed, discuss and chat about any concerns or issues that everybody's having. Just to kind of flush everything out, make sure everybody's on the same page, and we're all understanding exactly where we're at with this project. It's been a few months since we've all gotten together. Obviously, with COVID, we've been trying to stay apart, but at this point, we've got enough on the list to schedule a meeting and discuss timing of how everything's going to wrap up. The contractor did finish their survey. I'm supposed to be receiving those documents and the drafting plans for that, hopefully by the end of this week, so we can start on our as-built. Once we have the as-built, we can contact conservation and submit for a closeout of that permit, which is also part of Methuen, the contractor's scope for part of the punch list items. We're going to discuss the recycle tank on site. We're going to discuss the chem feed systems. We're going to discuss the backflow preventer and a multitude of other items that those items are still outstanding, but the other items on the list, most of them have been completed, and I just haven't been out to the site to confirm and discuss with the operators on site to make sure everybody's satisfied with the repairs. So that's scheduled for Thursday morning. We'll do some back and forth probably afterwards and a little bit more research on closing some other items out. But that was kind of it on the treatment plant, unless anybody had any questions on that.
Nope, and that's Thursday morning. Do you know what time?
I believe we're going to try to meet at 8 a.m.
8. Wow, okay. Not sure if I can make it. I will try, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
No, that's it. Sounds like that's it for the treatment plant.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, the contractor hasn't really been out there doing too much out there since the survey was completed. You know, we need to regroup and make sure everybody's on the same page of what's coming off the list or what needs to stay on this punch list. So I think that's kind of more of a regroup discussion on Thursday morning for me to verify and take some photos and physically see that they have been completed. The next item I was going to discuss was the progress of wells 5 and 6. We did select a screen, and Sullivan has ordered the screen, so that usually takes about 2 weeks for delivery, and they're currently over at well 6. They started the drilling. They installed the 60-inch casing. That's fully into the ground. They started on the 54-inch casing, and they have probably they'll get another 8 feet of that completed tomorrow. So we're starting to neck down to the smaller diameter casings. You know, it seems so far. I mean, it's a little early on the process, but so far so good. They're going to, you know, drill down to bedrock pretty much. And that I believe we noticed that was a little bit deeper in that area than we had originally anticipated. So that's good news for the well itself, and it will be about 80 feet deep at the end of this location for well 6. So that's moving and progressing, and I think that's pretty much it. That's that covers my update.
Very good. Thank you, Tara. Sounds like more quiet time.
Slow but steady.
Very good. Very good. Does anybody have any new information, changes, update? Everybody's pretty good. I think, do we need to set another couple of meetings? Maybe is it, we're out of January into February, so is it February 9th? Who has the calendar?
Yeah, looks like 9 and 23.
Very good. Let's set the next 2 meetings for the 9th and the 23rd, and if that's it for this evening, Mr. Bishop, I will request your favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn, everybody.
I'll second that. Thank everybody, and again, I apologize for my tardiness. I won't let it happen.
Okay, we still love you.
Very apologize for not being on time.
Very good. Well,
I had to do 2 jobs at once.
There you go. Multitasking, right, Victoria?
Right now I'm scraping the snow off my car. So yes, sir. I apologize for interrupting you, Mr. Peterson, though.
All good.
Excellent.
No problem.
Always
All
good.
Woo-hoo. Everybody have a good night. It's cold.
Very good. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.